लिखे लोगों के लिए, जिनके लिए गवर्नमेंट ने व्यवस्था की है, 5 साल के लिए कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में रखे जाए, 5 साल बाद समीक्षा की जाएगी। वे भी असमंजस में है कि रहेंगे कि नहीं रहेंगे। नतीजा ये है कि लोगों में अवसाद बढ़ रहा है, निराशा बढ़ रही है, मानसिक तनाव बढ़ रहा है और हताशा की स्थिति में जी रहे हैं बड़े पैमाने पे लोग। और नतीजा ये है कि वो आत्महत्या की तरफ बढ़ रहे हैं। मैं उदाहरण देना चाहता हूं कि इन 4-5 महीनों में कोविड की वजह से अकेले नोएडा में 44 लोगों की मृत्यु हुई है, लेकिन आत्महत्या की है 165 लोगों ने कल तक। ये स्थिति है। इसलिए मैं गवर्नमेंट से आपके माध्यम से अनुरोध करना चाहता हूं कि जो लोग लॉकडाउन की वजह से नौकरियों से, मजदूरी से अलग हो गए हैं, उनको प्रतिमाह कम से कम 50 और 15,000 रुपया भत्ता के रूप में दिया जाए, ताकि वो कम से कम भूखों न मरे और वो जिंदा बने रह सकें। लोकतंत्र में हर गवर्नमेंट ये कर रही है, पश्चिम से लेकर पूरब तक। हमें भी ये करना चाहिए। माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी यहाँ बैठी हुई हैं, मैं चाहूंगा कि इस पर सहानुभूति पूर्वक विचार करें और देश में जो आत्महत्याएं बढ़ रही है रोजाना, उनको रोकने के लिए एक सार्थक कदम उठाएं।
ठीक, धन्यवाद जी। श्री आनंद एसोसिएट स्लिप भेजना सब लोग। आनंद शर्मा जी।
Anand Sharma from Rajya Sabha Chamber. So I wish to draw your attention of this House and the government to the alarming increase in number of suicides and mental health cases in India. Across the world, about 8 lakh suicides happen annually, out of which 1.39 lakh happen in India. This means that India accounts for 15% of the total suicides of the world. Also, there is a suicide happening in every 3.5 minutes in India, which is very disturbing. During the year 2019, there has been a 4% increase in the number of suicides in our country. Reports indicate that 1 in 7 persons in India is suffering from depression. Number of persons affected by the mental health issues has exponentially increased after the COVID crisis and lockdown, especially the students and the children who are committing suicides across the country. This is because many children do not have access to online studies, non-availability of midday meals, and the fear of getting affected by corona. The first and foremost reason for India's battle against mental health issues not being effective is the lack of awareness and sensitivity about the mental health matters. There is also a stigma attached to the people suffering from any kind of mental disorder and illness. Mental health situation in India demands active policy interventions and resource allocations by the government and persistent nationwide effort to educate and sensitize the society about mental diseases. Mental illness must mandatorily be put under the ambit of life insurance. This will help people to see mental illness with the same lens as they use for physical diseases. Central government, in association with state governments, need to evolve innovative modes to deepen the penetration of services and establish helplines and counseling centers to effectively deal with the mental health issues.
Thank you. Associate, please send the slips. Special mentions. K.C. Ramurthy. From the Rajya Sabha gallery, number 1. Sankshipt, you have to read. Just.
Sir, running is considered to be a game of skill. In reality, it is gambling and betting money through rummy with the greed of getting more so. The online rummy, which is rapidly spreading its tentacles by luring all sections, more particularly the youth, with attractive advertisements and promotions, assuring lucrative returns, which are totally false. Looking at these advertisements, youngsters, after losing money, are resorting to criminal and other activities to carry on with this addiction. This is creating impression and worry among the parents about the future of the loved ones, sir. Sir, it seems that there are 4 online accredited rummy operators, Ace3, Jingle Rummy, Rummy Circle, Rummy Passion, accredited by the Rummy Federation. And according to the KPMG report, the online real money gaming industry is estimated at 2,200 crores and is growing at 30% annually and will touch 12,000 crores by 2023. So in view of the above, I request the Government of India to immediately declare online rummy as illegal and ban the sale forthwith. And we see that famous celebrities, including cricketers like MS Dhoni and film stars, clearly, propagate this. And this is a bad precedent, and it's going to have adverse effect on.
Thank you. ऑनलाइन रमी तो मिनिस्टर स्टेट गवर्नमेंट का सब्जेक्ट होगा, बट फिर भी लॉ मिनिस्टर उसको देखें. श्री अनिल देसाई कहा लोकसभा? अनिल जी, श्री अनिल देसाई not there. Sri Dr. Santanu Sen. Yes, please.
Sir, the term social distancing should not be used anymore, as we know that in order to avoid corona transmission, the term social distancing is being regularly used and it is being advised to maintain social distancing. Actually, it's a physical distance of nearly 6 feet between 2 persons which is needed. But on the contrary, use of the term social distance has indirectly promoted social stigma, which has led to nearly an attitude of boycotting COVID patients socially, and as its consequences, COVID patients and their family members are facing several inhuman situations. Sometimes social distancing creates differences considering socio-economic, religious and political perspectives. So to stop this social discrimination and social stigma, the term social distancing should not be utilized anymore to fight COVID, and instead of that physical distancing should be used.
Right. So the special mention में the heading should be read and then lay it on the table because lot of people are there. ये जो सुझाव दिया ना डॉक्टर संतोष सर ने, ये महत्वपूर्ण सुझाव है. और एसोसिएट ना सिर्फ भेज दीजिए. मेरा कहना है इसको सुरक्षित दूरी, रामगोपाल जी बता पाएंगे. सुरक्षित दूरी, सेफ डिस्टेंस, दैट विल बी बेटर. पारस्परिक दूरी का अर्थ दोबारा होगा, घर में झगड़ा होगा. ये उनसे ठीक है. Yes, social distancing should be replaced by an appropriate word. बैठ के मत बोलिए please. We have to, society as a whole has to evolve some broad this thing, and government should take lead. I do agree. Then Sri Prasanna Acharya, sir, main बता के ले करना.
Sir.
Subject.
Sir, the subject of my special submission is regarding sickle cell disease, which has posed a serious health hazard in western region of Odisha and adjoining district of eastern Chhattisgarh. I lay my special mention on the table.
Thank you. Sri Tiruchi Siva.
My special mention is addressing the inequalities in access to education for children during the pandemic owing to existing digital divide. Sir, with cases on the rise, schools remain shut, with children now being able to access education solely through digital means. This has resulted in vast disparities in access to education among children. A recently released survey by the NSO for 2017 states with highest access are little above 50%, and larger states like Tamil Nadu and UP access only below 20%, sir. This is worsened by the rural-urban divide, with rural areas having even fewer connections.
Right,
pandemic cash strapped, sir. It was promised by the Honorable Prime Minister that in 1,000 days the digital divide will be bridged. education policies earlier have suggested increased spending. With the current policy, I'm aiming at 6%.
Right,
Children
please.
who do not have access to internet fall behind by a whole term, giving undue advantage for a
Thank you,
private
Siva. It's a
student.
very important matter. The government should focus its attention on this issue.
Thank you.
Finance Minister is there, she will take note.
Thank you, sir.
Because in the rural area, it's often complained that they don't have adequate facilities yet. Though it's a welcome step. Dr. Sasmit Patra.
Sir, Dr. Sasmit Patra from the Lok Sabha chamber, sir.
Lok Sabha, please. Go ahead.
Lok Sabha chamber, sir. Sir, my special mention is on the topic allotment of land in Delhi for establishment of Odisha Cultural Center and Library. Sir, Honorable Chief Minister of Odisha, Shri Naveen Patnaik ji, in a letter dated 7th December 2019, requested the Honorable Union Minister of Housing and Urban Development to allot a suitable land in Delhi for the purposes of establishment of Odisha Cultural Center and Library. So it's been about 9 months now, sir. We hope the Honorable Minister will respond, and the land that has been requested by the Honorable Chief Minister of Odisha will be provided to Odisha. I lay the special mention on the table of the House. Thank you.
Thank you. Sri P.L. Punia. Punia ji?
P.L. Punia from Rajya Sabha Gallery.
Yes.
अध्यक्ष महोदय, तालाबंदी के दौरान करोड़ों मजदूर अपने गांव लौट गए और उन्हें रोजगार देने के लिए महात्मा गांधी रोजगार योजना ने महत्वपूर्ण योगदान दिया। आज करोड़ों मजदूरों को उनके गांव में ही मजदूरी मिल रही है। जब कोरोना का खतरा खत्म हो जाएगा तो ये करोड़ों मजदूर वापस काम की तलाश में शहरों में लौट जाएंगे। महोदय, आज की स्थिति में कोरोना निरंतर बढ़ रहा है। ये स्थिति कब तक चलेगी कोई अनुमान नहीं लगाया जा सकता। इसलिए आवश्यक है कि गांव में मनरेगा के माध्यम से और अधिक रोजगार की व्यवस्था की जाए। हर राज्य में मजदूरों के 100 दिन लगभग पूरे हो गए हैं। अब इन मजदूरों को काम नहीं दिया जा रहा।
पुनिया जी, you have to wait.
ये फिर रोजगार
सभा पटल के ऊपर रखना।
I'm reading it. और वे फिर बेरोजगार हैं। ऐसी स्थिति में सरकार को तुरंत कोई रास्ता निकालना चाहिए। इसके लिए मनरेगा में कुछ बदलाव की आवश्यकता है। मेरा अनुरोध है कि दैनिक मजदूरी बढ़ाकर न्यूनतम 300 रुपए किया जाए। परिवार में एक व्यक्ति की जगह 2 व्यक्तियों को।
राइट पुनिया जी। नेक्स्ट श्री अनिल देसाई
और रोजगार
लोकसभा चैम्बर।
अनिल
देसाई ने मैसेज भेजा, वो आ गए।
Yes, sir.
Please, Anil Desai.
Yeah, my subject of special mention is exorbitant hike in platform tickets. Ours is a welfare state, and it is expected that government policies should always be for the welfare of the common people. Government adopting the route of privatization of number of services which are directly affecting common people. Recently, with a view to curtailing the crowd at the railway stations across the country, the railway board has increased the fare of platform tickets from 10 to ₹50%.
Right.
It is quite exorbitant and not justified. Entry at the platform should always be need-based. If a passenger is old, infirm,
Right, Anil ji. We need to reduce the rate of platform tickets. That is the subject, yes, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I don't want any of you to be on the platform. Yeah. So next to business, we are going to the business. Dr. Ashwardhan ji वहाँ है लोकसभा में?
Yes, sir.
हाँ Ashwardhan ji?
Yes, sir. I am here in Lok Sabha.
तो मिनिस्टर एक ही दिन में एक ही सेशन में राज्यसभा चैम्बर में भी है, लोकसभा में चैम्बर है, चैम्बर में डॉक्टर हर्षवर्धन जी प्लीज।
Yes, sir. Respected sir.
Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Respected sir, I rise to move for leave to withdraw the Allied and Healthcare Professions Bill 2018.
Right. The question is that the leave be granted to withdraw the bill. Those in favor will please raise their hands and say aye. Those against will please raise their hands and say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted and the bill is withdrawn by the leave of the House. Next, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman ji, Insolvency Bankruptcy Code Second Amendment Bill. To introduce,
Sir, I'm Nirmala Sitharaman from the Rajya Sabha Chambers. I seek your permission, sir, to move for leave to introduce a bill further to amend the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016.
इसमें लिखा है 2020.
Sorry, sir, it's 2020.
20. Right.
Sorry, I stand corrected.
Right. The question is that the leave be granted to introduce the bill. Those in favor, please raise their hands and say aye. Those against will please raise their hands and say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman ji to introduce the bill.
So I introduce the bill.
Right. Then the bill for introduction, National Commission for Allied Healthcare Professional Bill. Dr. Harshavardhan from Lok Sabha Chamber.
Respected sir, I rise to move for leave to introduce the National Commission for Allied and Healthcare Professions Bill 2020.
Question is that the leave be granted to introduce the bill. Those in favor please raise their hands and say aye.
Aye.
Those against will please raise their hands and say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The Minister to introduce the bill.
Sir, I introduce the bill.
Thank you. Then the Aircraft Amendment Bill 2020 further consideration. Yesterday the only minister rose to introduce ask for the permission of the House to consider the bill. Discussion has not taken place. So Minister will make a brief comment and then we'll go to the members. Please.
Thank you, sir. Hardik Puri speaking from the Rajya Sabha chamber.
Please.
Sir, civil aviation has been a critical driver of economic growth in India. We have recorded exceptional growth in the last 5 years. The compound annual growth rate in terms of passenger throughput in the 5-year period between 2008-9 and 2013-14 was 9%. This has increased to 12.4% between 2014-15 and 2019 and 20. Cargo throughput has increased to double-digit growth of 10% during this period.
Please.
In 2019 and 2020 alone, our airports handled a staggering number of 341 million passengers. This, sir, has made India the third largest civil aviation market domestically, and we are in the process of becoming the third largest market for civil aviation globally after the United States and China by 2022 in terms of both domestic as well as international passengers. Even during this dreaded COVID period, sir, we have revived domestic civil aviation, which commenced on 25th May this year, as against the pre-COVID figure of 300,000 passengers per day pre-COVID. We have almost reached the 50% mark, and it is my submission to this House, sir, that by the time we reach Diwali and towards the end of the year, we would have, at the current rate of growth, acquired pre-COVID figures of 300,000 passengers per day. Sir, as of 31st August 2020, we have about 711 civil registered scheduled aircraft, of which 661 passenger aircraft are operational. This figure is likely to go up to about 1,200 in the next 5 years. The number of operational airports has risen from 70 odd in 2014 and has crossed the 100 mark, and today we have 109 operational airports in the country. Sir, we have to date operationalized 279 UDAN routes covering 50 underserved and unserved airports, including 5 helipads. The UDAN scheme has greatly helped in developing airport infrastructure. We have an ambitious target of developing and operationalizing 100 additional airports in the next 5 years by the year 2024, bringing the total to 200. We have taken several measures to help the beleaguered civil aviation sector, which is under strain. These include an impetus to Indian MROs, including end-of-lease maintenance, engine and component OEMs, rationalizing of airspace, and a number of other factors. This tremendous growth in itself has thrown up many challenges, such as saturated airport capacity, lack of trained manpower, limited manufacturing capabilities. But these, I believe, sir, are happy challenges. Sir, under the existing setup, the central government administers various aspects of civil aviation under the Aircraft Act of 1934 through the attached offices of the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, DGCA, the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security, BCAS, and the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau. These attached offices of DGCA, BCAS, and AAIB have been constituted under executive powers of the government, and their administrative duties and day-to-day functioning are governed by the government rules. Sir, during audits carried out by the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, starting in the year before and around 2012, the audit pointed out that the Universal Safety Oversight Audit Program and Universal Security Audit Program in 2012 and 2015 indicated the need to give statutory recognition to these three agencies. And sir, this is what this bill passed by the Lok Sabha on 17th March 2020 proposes to do. I will now, sir, just in a nutshell, outline to the honorable members the changes that are proposed to be introduced. It is proposed to insert...
Very brief.
Very briefly, sir. It is proposed to insert new definitions defining the three regulatory bodies as outlined, DGCA, BCAS, and the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau. They will be provided statutory recognition to these three bodies. We propose to insert new sections 4A, B, C, D in place of 4A to give precise effect to this, and to give under section 5 of the Act power of superintendence to the government over these bodies. I will confine myself to these comments and also point out that the provisions also include raising some of the amounts. For instance, the existing penalties for violation under the Act were considered not adequate, and there has been a need felt to revise these. It is proposed to increase the existing penalties from up to rupees 10 lakhs to 1 crore. The last revision of the amount of penalty was in the year 2007 from 1 and 2,000 to 10 lakhs. No changes proposed in terms of imprisonment, which is up to 2 years in most cases and 3 years in one case for such violation. It is proposed to provide that the central government may appoint a designated officer at Deputy Secretary level for judging financial penalties. Under this section, the proposed insertions will suitably provide for an opportunity to be heard. I would, sir, confine myself to these comments. And as I said, Honorable Sir, that Chairman, that the operative thrust of the bill is to provide a statutory basis to these three important agencies which govern the conduct of civil aviation, and this is necessary as we move forward with an exponential growth in civil aviation. I thank you, sir.
Thank you. The House will be happy to know that after discussing with the External Affairs Minister Jaishankar, if you can throw some light later about the resumption of the international flights. Now discussion will start, and then it will be over by 12 o'clock, including the minister's reply, and then we'll be going to the other subject, which we left out yesterday about COVID. Now, see, K.C. Venugopal ji has come from Lok Sabha to Rajya Sabha. Venugopal ji, your party has got 20 minutes. You have one more speaker, Vivek Tanka. You decide among yourselves, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm K.C. Venugopal, speaking from Rajya Sabha chamber. Thank you giving me for an opportunity to participate in this piece of legislation. Actually, Honorable Minister has really pointed out the features of this bill. One of the main objectives of the bill is to ensure safety and security of the passengers and the aerodromes. The audit conducted by ICAO had earlier pointed out the need of amending the rate of punishment to the violation and security oversight in India. By this act, actually the three organizations, the Director General of Civil Aviation, Bureau of Civil Aviation Security, and the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau will be headed by a Director General who will be appointed by the central government. The bill also gives power to the central government for cancelling the licenses, certificates or approvals granted to a person under the Act if the person contravenes any provision of the Act. The concern of this bill is that actually there are a lot of safety concerns in the country nowadays. The main purpose of the bill is to enhance the safety and security of the aviation sector. As we know, India is the third largest civil aviation market in the world. There are greater concerns of the issues of safety measures. An RT has revealed that in 2018 only, there was a 68% rise in near-miss incidents in the country compared to 2017. 47 near-miss incidents took place in 2018. The shortage of the air traffic control officers is another serious concern. According to a recent report, there is currently a shortage of 25% officers in Delhi alone. This has led to higher number of near-misses incidents. As we all know, I thought that Honorable Minister will point out the tragic incident which had took place in Calicut on August 7th. Air India Express flight has been crashed and our valuable 18 lives have been lost due to that accident. Actually, the 40 days already over. During the landing, the aircraft skipped from the runway and fell into the valley. It was only because of luck the aircraft didn't catch fire. The people are concerned about the actual reason behind the incident. Different causes are pointed out for this unfortunate incident. There is no clarity on what is the real cause behind this unfortunate incident. There is an investigation is going on, I know that. Whether the adverse climate, technical faults of the aircraft, or the mistake from the pilot, or the miscommunication, or any deficiency of the airport. Therefore, I would request the Minister to have a statement on these things. In addition to this, one more thing is needed to be clarified. Calicut Airport is a tabletop airport. Whether the deficiency of the runway is also a reason. Now the DGSA has stopped permission to the wider aircraft to the Calicut Airport. Earlier there was such restriction for wider aircraft. After a lot of inspection and rectification, the DGSA have given permission to the wider aircraft. If the current ban is based on any conclusion, the government has to clarify how the permission for wider crafts granted earlier. This is a real concern of the people of that area. And then one more thing, government has announced the compensation to the victim. I would like to know the real status of the compensation which was announced by the government, that also. Then I would like to invite this August House to a real issue of privatization of the airport. Honorable Chairman, recently the government has decided to award airport to the private parties in the name of development of airport infrastructure development. The government is selling of the airport, Adani. There is an international attempt from the government to neotism, help the crony capitalist friends. The government is paving red carpets for monopolization of airports in the country. Till now, Adani Group won bids to operate and manage development of 6 airports. Ahmedabad, Lucknow, Bangalore, Jaipur, Guwahati and Tirunelveli. The Adani Group is all set to acquire 70%, 4% stake in Mumbai International Airport also. That is what the media report is coming. I would like to point out that there is a clear violation of norms and regulations in giving airports to a single private entity. This clear scam of public money, in this process the government has violated all rules. First of all, the government has ignored the advice given by some of its own ministries and departments while taking this decision. It is clear that the changes in the norms enabled the Adani Group to win all the 6 bids. The recommendation made by the Department of Economic Affairs, DEA, in the Ministry of Finance and the Niti Aayog on the technical, financial and legal aspect of the bidding process were ignored by the government. No doubt, the condition was changed to favor the Adani Group. As we all know, in 2018, the government tried to amend the Airport Economic Authority of India, Regulatory Authority of India Act 2018, ERA Act 2008. The bill introduced by the government wanted to change the way tariffs were determined completely. The bill wanted to award the rights to oversee airport operations to private players. But the government failed to pass the bill in both the House. On November 8, 2018, a meeting of the Union Cabinet chaired by the Prime Minister Modi gave its in-principle approval to the proposal by the PMO to lease 6 airports for development in PPP model. Following this, an empowered group of secretaries, headed by the Chief Executive Officer of Niti Aayog, was constituted